This will be a crazy week to trade crude oil, and I'm going to show you why and tell you why in this video. Okay, so first of all, congratulations to all of our club members. We have been buying crude oil since down in the 66s and 67s. Opportunity for 360 plus amount of points or pips, however you refer to them. Not only did we have a break of structure right here, which gave us entry. But again, we were also targeting this gap here that ironically has not closed yet. So in this video, I'm going to give you all of the levels for you to have, and I'm going to explain to you why this is going to be a very volatile week, especially with US elections on Tuesday. Okay, so here are a couple of headlines that I think you should focus on for trading crude oil this week. Number one is the headline right there: oil prices settle up slightly on the Iran worries. That will continue to linger throughout the coming weeks for possible retaliation. But as we kind of scroll down here, let me bring your attention to these main summary points right here. Number one is that Iran prepares possible strike on Israel, and Israel has said that if that does happen, they will target some of their oil refineries. Number one. Number two is the Exxon reports record global production. So again, because they're producing a lot more, that typically will drive the price of crude oil down. Thirdly, the U.S. job growth almost stalled in October. And again, you would be surprised how jobs reports, can influence the price of crude oil. And then lastly, here's the big one for this week: investors focus on the U.S. elections. Again, depending on the candidate, depending on early voting results on Tuesday, expect this week not only for crude oil, but to see a lot of whiplash in the markets when it comes to crude oil indices and everything else. But in this video, I'm going to show you every key zone, and there are still a couple of gaps that have not yet been revealed. And we're also going to take a look at the August high, which I think could be a nice settling point for crude oil. Okay, so we are starting on the monthly chart, and what I want you to do with me is follow along with me and mark up your charts. We are going to mark up this spot right here as a monthly level. Okay, things that we do definitely want to pay attention to. And then we also going to mark up, I'm just going to go to some recent levels right here. And this is also a monthly level right here. And again, you can see these levels here, 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 and then here. So again, we want to work with an 84 and 64 as our monthly levels for right now, because that are the two closest main levels that we can talk about. We could possibly hit this 78 as a level right here. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and mark this up as a better reference, and that's because the August high was that kind of 78, and then we came very close here, right to that level when it came to early August. Early October. This current red candle is the month of November, which again, we are only a couple of days in, and that was from the drop on Friday. So we're going to be focusing in on those areas. So as we drop into the weekly, we're going to make this a little bit larger. And now what we're going to do is we're going to mark up a couple of weekly levels that we should definitely pay attention to. And that's right here. And so we're going to mark this up as a weekly level. And again, because support turns into resistance and vice versa, I don't mark them up as support or resistance. I like to mark them up as a level, so I understand that that's a place where we had previous support or resistance. Okay, so this was last week. You can tell here that crude oil came as far down as 66 and then recovered to close somewhere around 69. And again, note the chart that I'm using in the upper left-hand corner, since this is the WTI light sweet crude oil future spot, which aligns perfectly with many of your prices and my broker. But again, don't be so concerned about the price. Be more concerned about the price action. Okay, so here we are on the weekly. And again, if we just kind of look right here, all right, as you can see here, right, we have not been able to close really below this 66. We've tapped, we've wicked, but we did not close below that 66 area. So I'm just going to kind of draw a reference point here at the 66 and put this here. I'm just going to put a level. Okay, I'm just going to put a level because that lets me know, and that lets those individuals in our trading group know that, hey, we got to consider that a level because we've already had, right, 1, 2, 3 touch points at this level around 66, and we have not been able to close below 66. So all indications is that crude oil doesn't want to go below that price point and possibly wants to seek higher ground or just kind of stay in this consolidation area. And again, this is going to be crucial as we go into elections week this week. So let's get rid of this orange circle and let's deep dive into our daily chart. And again, a couple of things here that we begin to look at. And let's first see if we can kind of see some congruence here. And what I'm going to do is I always like to find those first 2 touch points, and I'm just going to leave them there. Okay, because those are 2 touch points. And eventually we'll see if we get a third possible touch point. But right now, we are not worried about it. We are looking at the daily candle right here on Friday was not an engulfing bearish candle. Okay, so this did not break this candle. So again, the trajectory, when we look at the daily candles, right, we are kind of in this mode right in here. We need to see what kind of happens here when the markets open on Sunday evening. Okay, and we'll talk more about that as we go through the video here. So when we kind of take a look at the daily time frame, okay, we can see here that we did have a level here that wicked and also wicked. So again, this will be considered a daily level. And these things are really helping our folks out to understand where they might expect some form of support and resistance. Okay, so as you can see here, we are still walking down this channel. We had a lower low, a lower high, right? A lower low, a lower high, a lower low, and then we made a lower high, right? For us to climb back up into the areas of 75, 76, in my humble opinion, right, we are going to need to see a candle close above that 71. And that's going to be important for what we are about to talk about in just a few minutes. Okay, so if we want to get back up into 72, 73, 74, we are going to need to see a candle close on a 4-hour time frame or higher above this particular area. So now let's go ahead and drop down to the 8-hour chart so we can begin to see what is happening with these candles on the 8-hour time frame. Hey, and by the way, if you are getting some value on this video, don't forget to hit the like button and share this video with your friends or your trading community. And if you're brand new, welcome, subscribe, and be a part of the Professor Trades YouTube channel. We're going to be giving you some massive value heading into the end of 2024 and also to launch you in 20. Okay, so now that we are back on this 8-hour candle here, we can see here how this trend line, we had a bounce, 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 and we are at a very critical moment right now, because if we break that trend line, then by all intents and purposes, we should be heading down towards the 68s, okay? 68s. So this is going to be very important. And again, there's probably going to be a Sunday gap that we'll have to deal with. So again, is this where price is going to stop and reverse and head back up, or are we possibly going to come down one more time to this daily level and then react from there? This part is still pending. We don't guess, we trade what we see. So very interesting how this candle came right back to the trend line that we actually built on a higher time frame. And again, that is the importance of doing a multi-time frame analysis. And if you look right up here at this weekly level, you can see right here, if I grab a line across where this price wicked, and we'll make this line yellow for the moment, you can see here that the gap, they came very close to closing that gap, about 40 cents, okay, on price before closing that gap. So again, there is still an open gap there, and I'm going to show you the higher gap that is still open even higher than that. And will this be the crazy chaotic week of elections to bring price up to those levels? We won't anticipate it. We're going to trade what we see, but again, just something to consider as we drop down to the 4-hour chart. So on the 4-hour chart, and you can see here the market closed right in this area, and sometimes TradingView will really begin to print early a candle as the markets are closed on the weekend. But again, this is why this is going to be a very critical area. We could get a false sense of a false sell, and then price continues to react. But I am anticipating some type of market gap, as we had a huge one last week, and we'll kind of dive into that a little bit more when we get into the 1 hour time frame. So what I want to do here to give you, so you have this, is letting you know that this gap, there is still an open gap, not closed, right in here. Okay, so just FYI, and it's not, it's by about 40 points or so. We said, I'll make this a little bit smaller, just make this a little bit bigger here. Okay, so there's an open gap there, and we're going to show you the higher one in just a minute. So looking at structure, right, there's a good possibility that we could see beginning of the week, crude oil continue to drop here if we get a substantial closure below that trend line here on the 4 hour time frame, and then we'll see how price reacts. We'll talk about the gap now as we drop over to the 1 hour chart. So if you can see here now on the 1 hour, and again, why you have to look at this multi-timeframe analysis, we did close below this particular trend line. Now, that doesn't mean much because many times there's a false trap hood where they sell you, they trap you, sell, and then they turn price around and go up. And that could possibly be the reason why we gap up, unless there's any crazy news that comes out of any region of the world this particular weekend. Okay, so we need to kind of wait to see what happens here. But now what I want to do on the 1 hour is I do want to build a couple of structural points where we've had price respect that. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put a level. And I only put a level because really 1 hour levels are strong levels, but they're not as strong as a higher time frame. So I just like to know that there is a level there. If you look over here, right, we can validate that this has been a strong supply level right in here. And then we broke that level to the bottom side, and we're here now. So ultimately, if we're going to go higher than 69, we want to see this price action right here. We want to see this this bullish engulfing candle. And then eventually we're heading back up towards 70 and a half. But we first need to validate that up in this area right in here before that happens. Until then, we stay bearish until we get that particular move back down. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and wipe out these trend lines because they've already done what I needed them to do. And I'm going to bring the chart in and squeeze the chart a little bit more as we talk about these stronger levels. And then I also want to point out this area right here. This is a gap from several weeks ago that has not yet closed. So this is also an open gap, not closed, of course. Okay, so we've got one at about 70, let's call it 75. And then we've got the one here that almost closed at about 71.50 or so. So we still have two open gaps to the top side that have not yet closed. And historically, those gaps do close. So let's talk a little bit about the gap and what we can expect. And again, if you don't know what the gap is, well, here is a perfect example, right? Last week when price closed at 71. When the markets opened on Sunday, it opened down at 68. And only until the end of the week did they finally come back up towards 71 to close it. So this area right here that the market creates from open to close, whether it's from a 5 p.m. to a 6 p.m. open to close, or whether it's from a Friday to Sunday open to close to open, that when there's a gap in price, that creates what we call as the gap. Sometimes it's just a couple of cents and it closes in the blink of an eye. Sometimes it's a large gap like this and it could take days to close. And this is why we have a strategy to trade this that we talk about, and why you cannot go heavy on any gap trades, especially this particular Sunday, because of what is happening this week with global news and U.S. elections. Okay, so let's give you one more level here. What we've seen this level right here act as a level of resistance, which could also turn out to be a level of support right in here. And so this is kind of the area that we are going to be focusing on when it comes to the not just the open of the market, but where price may go on Monday. And again, we're going to be trading this together inside of our trading club. Don't expect to do a lot of trading on election day. It is going to be crazy, and you definitely want to under lot size under leveraged this particular week across the board because I believe this is going to be a very crazy whiplash week. And I don't anticipate too many structure points to hold off really across the board, across all of the major indices and even currency pairs as well. But we will be looking for this area here as the market opens. And so this is going to be, I'm just going to label it as the gap because that means, and that tells our folks when they get these charts that this is where price closed. Okay. And again, typically what we're waiting to see is what's going to happen with a Sunday gap. If we get one, are we going to gap up high and come back up to this level here? Or are we going to gap up lower and then come back to a lower level here? Understanding that this gap has not been closed and neither has that 75 gap have been closed either. So we have our levels and we basically like to trade level to level. And we also focus on our Fibonacci levels for good entry or even places to exit if the trade turns around on us. And again, one of the key components to trading is something we talk about every day in our trading club is to secure profits, whether it's 20 or 30 cents worth on crude oil. You've got to secure profits. And this week of all weeks, you cannot let winners turn into losers. So you have to protect your trades. Okay. And in closing, this month of November 2024, we are actually celebrating 1 year of the professortrades.com in our private community. I've got a lot of cool stuff going on for our members, including member rates are going to drop. And so if you are interested in joining us here now during our birthday month of 2024, you can head down below to the website, theprofessortrades.com. Come on in. There's going to be weekly stuff that we're doing, weekly prizes, weekly themes, and we are going to celebrate as a community throughout the entire month of November. And if you join us, you're going to kind of find out what your amazing perks are going to be, let alone it's already less than $1 in our monthly membership. So I hope to see you there. To all the members that are there, congratulations, welcome. Many of you started with me a year later, and I just wanted to say thank you. So a quick shout out to Sue here, who was the first member who started with me back in November of 2023. Now you're going to be seeing a video popping up on your screen. Take a look at that video. That was a training that I did for our members on market structure specific to crude oil. Spend the time, watch that video so you can find your best entries as possible. If you have any questions, drop them down below in the comments. If you've been on my channel for a while, I usually will put a community post once or twice a week, kind of quizzing you, asking you questions. I want my channel to be about growth and about community. And so go down and ask questions, and I will answer your questions within 24 hours. Have a great trading week. Please, please do not over lot size. Do not over leverage. This is going to be a crazy, crazy week across the board. And then lastly, if you can find some time to be kind to people this week, doesn't have to be someone you know, could be a stranger, could be a ritual. I do something every Wednesday. I don't share it on social media. Just quietly go out and be able to purchase a meal, a cup of coffee for someone. You can do something, even with $1 in your pocket or €1. Go out and give back in your community. We need more acts of kindness in this world. It doesn't need to be broadcasted, okay? You can just do it quietly and have your personal feeling of feeling good. Actually, if you are into the Catholic or Christian religion, the Bible tells us to honor those and give back quietly. We don't need to post it on social media. So have a great trading week, and I'll see you soon.